Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name is Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely,
late but present Sandra Scott, and our fabulous guest today is Gemma.
Gemma.
Yeah, apologies, Gemma. I forgot to say to Gemma that's how we start the show, but never mind.
We were just telling her how slick it was.
Slick as ever, slick as ever. Thank you, Gemma, for giving us your time. We know you were super busy, and she's had here on her team have had a really, really busy week, leading up to what happened on Saturday, which we will find out loads more about that as we go along. So we always start off with a shout out to the kids, any little people, young people who've done fabulous things this week. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go on then.
Okay, so I'm going to give a shout out to all of the kids who went back to school on Monday. So they've had half term, which is quite tricky to then have to wake up in the morning and go back on a Monday, isn't it? So Poppy, my dog, goes to school. I'm going to give her a little shout out as the kids. And when I woke her up on Monday morning to go to school, she fell asleep at the top of the stairs. Then she went down about 2 stairs, fell asleep again, and literally was like, climbing into just wouldn't wake up. Obviously, when she was there, she was made up to see everybody. But she really struggled, and I thought, the dog's struggling. The kids must be up the wall, mustn't they? So I'm giving a shout out to all of the young people who've gone back to school this week. What about you, son?
I'm giving a shout out to a girl I taught who's doing her GCSE Spanish, and my friend said, I can't carry on. Can you help me out? And he knows I'm chocker. And I went, okay. And I just did sort of, and I said to the mum, she's got a 9. She's like at the top of her game, and she got a 9- in her mock. Like, that's the thing. So this is the A star, this level 9 now.
Wow.
7's an A, and A's an A star, and 9's an A star. So this, and I just said, she's unbelievable for her age, and she speaks 2 languages already. She did a GCSE in Arabic. She speaks English and another language that isn't Arabic. And she did Arabic last year, and she's doing Spanish GCSE this year. She's got all her GCSEs mostly this year. And I was like, dear God in heaven, the level was unbelievable. I was really taken aback. I think I taught her 5 things. That was it. But yeah, so she's under pressure, and she's predicted all these top grades for everything and a 6 for art.
Oh.
I said, no one's going to be bothered about that, love. Don't worry.
Unless you want to be an artist.
No. There we go.
Good on her.
Good for you, little angel.
What about you, Gemma? Have you got any young people, little people you want to shout out to?
Yeah, I think this week I'll give a special mention to my daughter Ava, because on Sunday, we'll get to it on Helplines Awareness Day, we did this fitness challenge at the training station on Alfred Street. I don't know if you know it. And she came along, got herself up really early, and helped one of my colleagues film the entire sequence. And she was really, really supportive. She was like, comment, share, come on. She was like really, really like, pushing us all. So yeah, and she was a superstar. So I'll give her that shot.
Brilliant. Well done.
Yeah, I've seen the video. I did watch the videos and all the photographs and these, and I thought, oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Success this week for you personally, something that's happened. So I'm going to go first. I'm alive.
Yeah, that's where I'm alive. Yeah, I'm alive.
I've had a bit of I've had this fluey leggy or whatever it is. This is the start of week 5. And me cough has still a little bit there, but nowhere like it was last week. So my success is that I'm alive. And also, it was half term last week, wasn't it? And I had a gorgeous half term. So I saw Shell on Monday and had a little coffee with her. So our friend who's just got over breast cancer, who's doing an amazing, amazing job. And then Tuesday, I don't know what I did on Tuesday. Did I do something with you on Tuesday, Sam? Can't remember. Wednesday, we went over to see Auntie Bella and Uncle Ron, and we had a gorgeous lunch, didn't we? In the
No, I took my mum to Southport to get shoes on Tuesday.
I don't know what I did, something on Tuesday, I can't remember. And then Thursday, I went to the Trafford Centre with my mum. On Friday, I brought her to school to show her around. So, yeah, we had a nice little week in between doing my uni work and everything else. But it was, it was nice. What about you, San? What's your success?
Pushing it there. I'm all right. I'm busy. I've got nice people in my life and I'm alive. That's where we're at this week so far, especially.
Brilliant.
But there we go. I can sit and chill. Okay, I've got a functioning coffee machine. There's a positive. Okay.
There you go. Look at that. What about you, Gemma?
Gemma's got loads, I bet. Yeah. Go on.
I think this week, I mean, my coffee machine's gone bust on me, so mine's not functioning.
No.
But yeah. But in terms of this week, it's been our week-long campaign leading up to Helplines Awareness Day. So myself and the team have been extremely busy, but we've done some fantastic things over the week. Went to the Thrive Hub, which if you've heard of, and we did a session on helplines with like the young people and the staff there, just demystifying what it is, how you can access support, and just giving them that little bit of insight into what you can do, and also that you can volunteer for them, and you can kind of, there's career opportunities there as well. They're a fantastic place to work, and really good place to gain, essential kind of skills as well. So we did that. We put a video together for the first time. So me and Liz, my colleague, our comms person, she did a little bit of training, and then we just rocked up at 92 degrees. Said, "Can we film in your cafe?" And they were like, "Yeah, come on." So spent a whole day filming and put it together, and just put it out there, and thought, okay, that'll do. Let's see if it's good enough. And I don't think we did too bad for our first video.
Well, I thought, that's how Gemma's on the show today. So I'm going to go into how I sort of like randomly stalked them and got them on the show in a bit. Like, that's cool. Okay, we're going to play this or that.
Oh, poor Gemma.
I'll ask
what she's into for.
I'll ask you and Sandra. Sandra will ask me and you. Okay, you haven't got to. You've just got to join in this bit. Okay. Shall I go first, San?
Go on then. You go first.
Okay. I'm going to ask Gemma first. Gemma, watching the sunrise or stargazing?
Stargazing.
Stargazing. What about you, San?
I quite like sunset, but I like, that's a hard one. Between the two, I'd say watching the sunrise.
Yeah, I'm a bit tricky because I like both as well, but I'm fascinated at the moment by the stars and the moon and everything. After one of our friends, Chris, did this telescope thing, and then, and I think on a crystal clear sky, when you look at the stars, is just wow, because what's out there. So I think I'd go stargazing. But before we move on, San, Carl Fogg's listening or watching on YouTube, I think, Gemma, and he says, "I love you, Gemma."
Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
There you go. Thanks, Carl.
It's nice as long as he's not a stalker. Okay, carry on.
No, he's not.
Yeah. Okay. Bearing in mind what you do, Gemma. Okay. Phone or FaceTime?
Oh. There's benefits to both, and I know what the benefits are, but I always prefer face-to-face. That's my preference.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. So for me personally, face-to-face, because you can read, but I 100% get Paul Carl he's family, San. So
Sorry,
let's give him a little love back.
That was reference to something else that happened to me a long time ago. Never mind. Yeah.
What about you, San?
Well, so face-to-face, definitely. But I suppose the thing in person, if you can. But the whole thing now I like with the FaceTime is, so our own and FaceTimes me every Saturday morning. Usually it's 6 or 50 from Thailand for 2 hours this weekend it was. And it's great because so when you talk to them, you're up to date with everything and that. Whereas if you were on the phone for 2 hours like that, it'd be a bit much, wouldn't it? Yeah. So I quite like FaceTime, and you can do stuff whilst they're on and what have you,
Yeah, and you can see them and stuff. So Carl says 100% face-to-face as an older generation.
Me too, Carl.
Yeah. Okay. Gemma, waffles or pancakes?
Pancakes, I think.
Yeah, I'm a pancake as well. What about you, San?
Pancakes, hands down. I love them.
Yeah. It's Pancake Tuesday soon, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a late Easter this year, but it is soon, yeah.
I don't know. I saw something about pancakes and I thought I'm going to ask that.
Which means it's Lent.
Oh, no, I can't wait. I'll have to give chocolate up then.
God, laugh at me. Jesus.
Go on, Stan, your go.
Okay. One of the things that we often talk about here is audiobook or reading a physical book.
Oh, 100% a physical book. I like the feel of the pages. I actually like to, if I get a book, I like to buy a second-hand book that's actually maybe lived a previous life.
Yeah.
So.
And wonder who had it.
Yeah, definitely. I think I picked one up in Haworth once, certain edition of a book, and people had made little notes in it. And I find it like fascinating, things like
the
that. Rather than
romance
having,
of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down a proper book. Hands down a proper book.
And also a win was in school. If you got a book that someone else had and they'd annotated all over it, say like, and it had all the answers, that was great.
Yeah, but if they were right, wasn't it? That would be the thing. Depends if they were right, doesn't it? That was me just letting the cat back in. Yeah, hands down a book. Carl, I'm gonna do his is this or that. So Sandra, red or blue with loads of laughing faces.
Red.
Gemma.
100% red.
Yeah, so we're all red. There you go, Carl. We're all red.
Carl, we've just got another Evertonian in work just to be diverse at the minute.
Never mind.
Okay.
Okay, Gemma. Online learning or classroom learning?
Again, pros and cons for both.
Yeah.
For me personally, classroom. Yeah. Face to face. And I'm more of a face to face person, I think.
What about you, San?
Well,
I know you don't
I would have said, yeah, I'd say online now, because it depends on the type of learning you do as well. If it's a practical thing, you absolutely have to be there. There's no two ways about it. But if it's something that can be theoretical and it's taught, it's fine, because you can be dead comfy. You can have tracky bottoms on, nobody knows. And do you know what I mean? You can just be really relaxed and have a hot drink when you want one and stuff like that. So I probably like online. I quite favour online courses now, and you haven't got your travel time and stuff like that. But that's if it's like a one thing. If it's a long course and that, it's probably better to have face to face where you're learning as a group, I suppose. You know,
complicated. 100% face to face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hate online learning.
Yeah,
well, I don't hate it.
Excuse me, hang on a minute. I've just got to interject here for a change. That woman on a certain course, etc., maybe doing your head in. If you were online, she wouldn't be able to speak. The guy would just mute her.
True.
Well, you can divert in a you know. There's ways you can kind of divert in a face to face.
Well, allegedly.
Yeah.
100%. Go on, San, your last go.
Okay, lilac or pink, Gemma?
Oh, lilac, definitely. I'm not a pink person. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I'm the same.
Lilac.
What about you, San?
Lilac, purple.
Lilac as well.
It doesn't suit me though. It's like yellow. Look, if I put my face on the purple thing, purple doesn't suit me. It just drains me, but I like it. And I like pink as well, but they're not the best colours for me. I have to wear like bright colours.
Yeah. There you go. So, okay, we know Gemma slightly better than we did before. And Carl, thank you for joining in. So, Gemma's just mentioned that she her and Liz made this video. So, Alfie's squad shared the video on their Instagram. And I was watching the video and I thought, oh, that's the Baltic. And then I saw Helplines Awareness Day and Helplines, and I thought, I've never heard of that before.
No, I haven't.
So I clicked onto their Facebook link and I had a little look around, and then I messaged on Instagram saying, just seen your video. I think it's a really cool thing. I think that's the Baltic. Are you based in Liverpool? So lovely Liz messaged me back and she said, oh yeah, we're based at, I said, we do this little show called Success in the City. I think it'd be great if you would, somebody would come on. Now I thought she was just going to go, oh no. And then she said, yeah, well, she nominated Gemma to come on because she said that you're better at it than her. So that is how we've got Gemma on the show tonight. So thank you very much, Gemma. Gemma, tell us how it all started, what you do, and then Sandra and I'll stop and ask questions as we go along, where the idea come from and all of that sort of stuff. And we've got about 30, 40 minutes.
Okay, so us as an organisation, we're Helplines Partnership, and we're the membership body for Helplines. So we have about 350 members, but there's thousands of them out there, and you wouldn't believe this, that there's a helpline for absolutely everything you can think of, from like the Dogs Trust to cancer-related, health-related. I mean, you know, child protection, domestic violence, you name it, there is a helpline out there, and there are many of them as well, doing absolutely fantastic work. Now, about 3 years ago, just had this idea of how can we raise the profile, because often helplines are like hidden, so almost like, you know, hidden in society, support's there, and people don't realise how much they do and what they do. And they take thousands and thousands of contacts and calls a week. And without them, you'd really notice and feel a difference in society. You really would, especially with some of the funding situations you see now at the moment, and NHS is, you know, struggling, mental health services in crisis. So they do really pick up a lot of the slack, but they don't often get recognised for it. So so we thought, let's set up, you know, prisoner an official Helplines Awareness Day across, you know, England, the UK. So we picked a day, set it up, and the first year of the campaign, we just wanted to kind of maybe ask people to share the story, and share, and for Helplines to share their story as well about what it's like to work on a helpline, just to give people an idea of what it may be like. And it kind of went from there. So last year, it got a bit bigger. We had a bit more kind of, you know, experience, planned for it a bit better. And then leading to this year, we had these grand designs of doing a video when we'd never done any video kind of training, editing before. So we sent Liz on some training. She was fantastic. She came back with all the knowledge. And then I said, let's just, you know, let's just go into 92 degrees. I know the guys there, they'll see if they'll let us do it, and they let us do it. And then I enlisted actors from base camp work. So we have different people in base camp, and they all like web designers, and I just rent a desk. And I was like, would you mind being in a video for me? Yeah, no problem, Gem. Yeah. So people were helping, and then I called on my auntie last minute. I was let down, and I needed a woman. I was like, can you drive over to Liverpool? I need you for this video. And she was straight over, came over. She played one of the bereaved characters, and we were still a person down. We were literally, you know, kind of running by the seat of our pants, really. And Rachel from the Little Vintage Photography, she's got a little kind of hut in base camp in the Baltic Creative, and she jumped in and helped us as well. So it feels like it was like a really good, like, you know,
lovely little community, isn't it, within your within the space.
So just a list of people
who know, 92 Degrees Coffee is the big Baltic, and then behind there is the base camp where there's lots of desks and huts.
That's where Tony is. Tony Schumacher.
Tony Schumacher did the show, didn't he, from his little shed?
Yeah, he wrote the first responder, Gemma, that was on telly.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So he's been on the show, and he did it, didn't he, from his shed?
He did it from his little shed there. Yeah. Great.
There's little huts, there's little sheds as well that people have. Yeah.
So Gemma, how did you choose the date?
So we looked at other awareness days.
Yeah.
And what we didn't want to do was overlap with some that we thought were kind of linked to any of our members, so that because we didn't want to overshadow anything like, you know, mental health related or anything related to any of our members and helplines.
Yeah.
And obviously stay away from the biggies like Mental Health Awareness Week and those sorts of things. So we just looked at where we could kind of fit it. Now, in hindsight, I think maybe summer would have been a nicer date, because we could have maybe done like walks and mountain peaks, and can't really do that in the winter. So whenever we do a challenge, seems to have been fitness related, which I have to say is often led by me, and I do apologise to the team, because they're like, oh, not another extreme challenge.
Oh.
But yeah, we just saw where was there a gap that we felt, you know, could kind of work for us.
So how long has the Helplines Partnership been going?
Around 30 years, maybe a little bit more. So it used to be two separate organisations, and they merged and became Helplines Partnership. And obviously we're like the helpline for helplines, so they become members, and we will train them, all their staff.
Oh, that's fantastic. So Gemma, sorry, we keep interrupting you because we'll have loads of questions.
No, that's fine.
So we know we've had loads of charities on here, because it is a plan. It's ordinary people doing extraordinary things that inspire others. That's the whole ethos of our guests. And I know people who, you know, they mightn't be aware that you even exist. So if a charity or a third sector organisation or a group of volunteers, a community group, want support from yourselves or something, how do they access that? How much would that cost a charity to subscribe to? How does it work for them?
So although our core is to work with helplines, we do actually work with all organisations, and we provide training for different organisations as well. And they're what we call our non-traditional. So they're not a helpline, but they are. So for example, we've delivered training to hospice nurses on the Wirral. So that's all face to face, but it's a lot of our training is kind of transferable, because we cover not just like essential skills, but things like vicarious trauma, suicidal callers or suicidal training, you know, right up to kinds of things like safeguarding. So we can kind of be a little bit transient in that sense. And so organisations may contact us and say, one of our most popular courses, sadly, at the moment, is vicarious trauma and worker wellbeing. And that's because organisations, in all different organisations as well, a lot of corporates as well, they're experiencing people who are, you know, distressed. They might be getting people who are angry. So angry callers, angry people face to face, abusive, difficult type, you know, callers, what we call them. All those things are increasing because standards of living, mental health crisis. When you add all of this together, services that normally wouldn't have individuals kind of discuss and you know and present in a certain way, they're now experiencing that, and they don't know how. They're not trained to deal with it, and also they're taking it with them, they're taking it home with them. It's affecting them mentally themselves. So that's where we can kind of come in and with our training to try and help and support organisations to set kind of appropriate things up for their staff to ensure their mental well-being themselves, really.
I mean, that's massive, isn't it? I have a sister up in Scotland, and she answers the phone, and it's not for the ambulance service, it's for people who for elderly carers who they're all registered with the local authority and things like that for elderly people. So they call, and someone might have had a fall, and they're not going to call an ambulance. They just need a care worker, and she gets really upset over it because she feels about the person sitting there, or they're on their own, they're elderly, and it's true. And I think she came and spoke to me a lot about it when she came to Liverpool last, and I think she is like, it is quite traumatic for the people, isn't it? You know, you take the burden home, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And we work with the likes of the ambulance service sometimes, and all these different services, because they are experiencing, you know, call or interaction after interaction. And what happens is after a while of receiving those multiple calls or those multiple interactions with service users or patients, you are constantly, you know, having this layer of transference of kind of, you know, upset and stress, but it's not going anywhere. You know, you're not able to kind of manage it in a way that's healthy. Or so people need support and need to kind of, you know, it's kind of where we come in to say, well, okay, this is how you understand it, and then this is how you maybe can look after yourself better, and certain strategies you can put in place to try and help, you know, kind of debrief and things like that. And so it's practice led from an organisation point of view, but there are things you can do as an individual as well that can help.
Brilliant. So Paula, is it Ojock?
Yeah, she's our CEO.
Yeah, so she's put, great job, Gemma, talking about the helplines and all the amazing work they do. Guess who? I'll give you the clue with the gaffer. And then she's put, Gemma's unreal at all her training challenges. She puts the rest of us to shame. And I think that was about the fitness challenge, which we'll come to in a little minute. So what sort of organisations, like helplines, do you work with? And if somebody has got a helpline and they want to join you, how do they go about that?
So I mentioned a couple before. So recently saw Carers UK on the news before, and you know that they're one of our members. We work with them. You have ones such as pancreatic cancer. You have you know, we've got like the Dogs Trust, Battersea Dogs Home. Those, you know, those sorts of charities. We have obviously, you know, Childline, Minds, Rethink. So all the ones that you would expect as well. And then you have, you know, there's smaller ones as well, and more kind of bespoke ones as well. There was one recently, the Anne Robson Trust, that sadly had to close. They were a fantastic helpline, and they would obviously sit with people who were dying but maybe didn't have family, and so the volunteers would be with them. You know, it's so diverse. I mean, you know, you've got multiple domestic violence helplines like Welsh Women's Aid.
So you operate all around the UK then?
So we're UK, yeah, we're national. So we just happen to have a little crew in Peterborough, 3 of us, and then a little crew in Liverpool, there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
So we seem to have 2 little camps, and then all of our staff are then based Sussex, London, Birmingham, all over really. But there's only 13 of us, so we are small. So we
do such amazing work,
we do a lot for the size that we are. And like I say, with members, to be a member, you know, you just have to kind of visit the website, and on the website it kind of takes you through what the benefits are.
Yeah.
And it gives if you become a member and you do obviously book training, you get, you know, we try and keep it as like low cost as possible. So we give them 40% off as a member.
Amazing.
And we sometimes have different things, but we also, what's really important to us is the quality side, and we're the only kind of body that does standard assessment accreditations on helplines. So if a helpline puts them through the helpline standard accreditation, you know, be rest assured that they have gone through, you know, X amount of criteria, and that they are performing to the highest standard, that you know, if they were to pass that. So when you do contact a helpline, you're getting, you know, a really high quality service, and you know it's safe. So the safeguarding is in place, confidentiality is,
and like the well-being of the staff
and the well-being of staff. Yeah. So we assess all of that. So that's another side of the arm that we do, and obviously we do consultancy as well, which is, you know, bespoke to any organisation.
Amazing.
And that probably helps you do it, like if you're working for other organisations or private companies that end up needing support, like you spoke about vicarious trauma. And for people who don't know, vicarious trauma, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Gemma, jump in, is trauma that people might experience because of the other person's trauma. So they're hearing what someone else is saying, what they've been through, and they've got empathy for that, and it can affect them. Is that right? Is that how you would?
Yeah, it definitely, and it's. I mean, obviously, it's there's more layers to that, but people may know it as well. As you know, sometimes people use language such as compassion fatigue, and things like that as well. And it's when you're exposed to continuous kind of trauma, and although it's not your trauma, it's another person's. It's that you know, constant kind of feed through. And if you imagine you're doing a shift on a helpline,
Yeah.
and you're taking 20 calls in your entire shift that day, well, between say 7 and 20 calls, because they could be short or longer. You're then going home, you're coming back the next week, and you're coming back the next week. And so it's that continuous kind of exposure to people's stories, distress.
Yeah.
And you need to do something with that. And so appropriate debriefs, checking in and teaching obviously strategies and allowing that space for people to be able to kind of put that kind of to one side and not have it affect them to the point where it affects their home life and everywhere else.
Yeah,
that's I think there's so many areas of society that need that, actually, not just helpline people. I used to interpret for asylum seekers years ago, and that was quite traumatic because your heart's broken for people when you hear their story and everything, and then people dealing with young people with safeguarding and things like that. I think there's so much need for that service, actually. It's fantastic. And how did you become involved in it?
So well, I used to work for Childline. So there's a Childline base in Liverpool, and I was the first member of staff for the Liverpool base. So we had a Manchester base, and then they set up a Liverpool base. So I became the first member of staff, and I became one of the managers there. And then from that, it grew. And so I left about 6 years ago to come to Helplines Partnership. And I think the reason, although I loved my time there, and it was fantastic, I'd kind of done all I could there, and I wanted to have a bigger and a greater impact on the helpline sector. So I wanted to kind of impact the entire, and maybe take ideas and try and impact in a qualitative way across the whole sector. So it just felt that the right move then to kind of come into Helplines Partnership and into the director role, so that I could have more of a kind of say in how, because I thought I know how things should be, and it's not always the case. So if I can get myself into a position where I can have that greater influence, then that matters to me. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm really passionate about
from experience as well, isn't it? Because you've, as you say, you've worked there, you've sort of set up a new base, so what the staff are going through. You get, especially with Childline, the calls that you'd be getting would be, you would take that sort of home with you. It's tricky, isn't it? To leave it all at the door, but you've lived it, so then you understand how the staff are feeling. You've got empathy for them, haven't you? To then be able to say, we need to put this in place to protect people.
Yeah, and I did love it, because with Childline, obviously, child protection has been a theme throughout me career, really, and it's something I'm really passionate about. But I enjoyed the responsibility of risk assessing. I enjoyed that side of it, because you've got children's lives in your hands sometimes with some of the decision making that you're having to do.
Yeah.
And you don't take that lightly. But I actually, loved it and really enjoyed it. And sometimes I do miss that side.
Yeah.
But I remind myself that, well, I'm in a space where I can have a greater influence that can impact a lot of helplines, not just one.
I would never have thought, before, when you said, the the helpline sector, that would never ever have come into my vocabulary, that there was
it's
a
massive
sort of sector. But then you do think, there are lots of helplines, but I've never thought of them all being under like one umbrella. So if somebody was looking for a helpline, could they come to your site and find one? Is if they were looking for something in particular, or did they just go off and find the helplines themselves?
So you can Google yourself, but we actually have a Find a Helpline. And what you can be reassured with on the Find a Helpline feature is that when you and obviously, if you see on the end of our video, it leads into, they're on the Find a Helpline kind of app, that on the application, because any helpline that we have on our Find a Helpline is a member, and what that means is, to become a member of ours, you have to have adequate safeguarding and confidentiality policies in place. And they are the cornerstones of any charity, really, you know, let alone helplines, but even more so important for helplines because obviously you have, you know, phone, web chat, text. So safeguarding is really important, and confidentiality, and you know, you as a user would like to know what would happen if you were to, you know, to speak out.
Of course, yeah.
Can I just say, so whilst you've been talking, Gemma, I've had a look on this, and it's so easy to follow, and it's really, your website's really clear and user friendly, isn't it?
So I'll put the link of the website in the comments, and then people can see, and then I will share it on the socials as well. Because I think for people to be able to access something, you know, you tend to be ringing a helpline if there's something, you know, you don't ring a helpline when everything's good. You know, you tend to ring one when something's happened, don't you? Or if you're in a, you know, crisis or whatever. So the easier it is to access something, it's just taking one less step away, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised though, because when we went to the Thrive Hub in the week, that's one of the things someone said was, oh, well, you only contact a helpline when you're in crisis. I was like, yeah, you do. It's interesting, but there's helplines out there that are more kind of advice led. So say you have like money issues, or say one of your children's on the spectrum and you don't know how to fill a form, you know, there will be a helpline that you can, you know, so you can contact the Citizens Advice Bureau, and they will help you with kind of practical life, you know, like life choices. And then you have, if you look on the Find a Helpline app, I don't know if you're still on it, Sandra, you can actually search by topic. So it will have bereavement, LGBTQ, autism, domestic violence. You can actually search for it via you know, the topic base, or you can just type in what you're looking for.
Okay.
And you can do it either way, but we tried to make it as straightforward and easy as possible, because whether you're in a distressed state or whether you're just seeking some advice about something in particular, then you know, it needs to be easy and accessible.
God, it really has got everything on here, school and work, everything, all kinds. Very good.
Brilliant. So tell us about the challenge that happened. Tell us about Helplines Awareness Day and what happened on Saturday, Saturday, wasn't it?
Sunday. Yeah. So because it fell on a Sunday this year, we kind of turned it into a week-long campaign. Because obviously Sunday, you don't know, you know, how kind of engaged with it. And it actually turned out well, because we had various different things that we were doing across the week, and which was really positive, really good. And then we thought on the Sunday, you know, what will we do? So I was like, why don't we do a fitness challenge in the gym I go to? So a couple of the PTs there, really great guys, honestly, really lovely. They were like, yeah, we'll help. Absolutely, you know, we'll get involved. So they all got up early on a Sunday morning for us. We had T-shirts made. And then I think we were 2 down on the day. We're like, oh, and one of the PTs just rang up a couple from his class, can you get in? We need 2 people to do this thing. And do you know what? This is the gym community, they're great.
Yeah.
They came, and so we had two teams of 3, and we had to do this really tough challenge that was set by my PT, and I think he made it worse on purpose. But it was like something like 300-meter run, and we had to do 90 wall balls, 90 of something, 90 of this.
Gemma, hang on a minute. What's a wall ball?
Oh, well, so you grab a ball and you have to throw it as high as you can up,
like a big medicine ball.
Like a big medicine ball, and catch it and do them. And we were on the rower, we were on the skiing. I mean, you name it, we were doing it. I'm like, nearly dying. And then at the end, very cruel, we have to do deadlifts, like 30 deadlifts each. And you're running in between, by the way. So you're doing these stations, and then you're running for 300 meters, and you're coming back and doing the rest. Wow. And then you end on these really bad deadlifts, which was so. My back was broken yesterday. I have to say.
How did everybody feel on Monday morning?
And did you raise funds, Gemma? Did you raise much money at all?
No, it wasn't for money. So we don't raise money, but all what we're about is raising the profile and raising awareness for helplines. So with the video and then obviously with the fitness challenge, it was about maybe people tuning in, and it was just to kind of get that message across, Helplines Awareness Day support, recognize that there's helplines out there that are saving lives, making real difference to people. But it's not spoken about, it's not known. They're like the safety net for us, when the face-to-face services close, or you don't maybe get the response you need. You can pick up that phone or log on and have a chat, and there is always somebody at the end there for you whenever you need it. And I just think that is so special. But
it's amazing. But I think also what you said, which is something that it's so obvious, but I've never thought about it, is the training and support you offer as well to people doing it. So when I was at the ADHD Foundation, irrespective of your job, we all used to take turns in answering the phone with calls. So on a Monday morning, we'd have a briefing and stuff in work. But for that, before we did that first half hour, the phones wouldn't stop. And it was a lot of people struggling getting the kids into school because they didn't just ring about ADHD. There might be other things, autism, etc., all different things that a child might have. And you'd pick up the phone and people were just desperate and they'd sob on the phone and everything. And hopefully we were kind and empathetic. And I know everyone was helpful and really supportive there. But we used to get national calls, not just from Liverpool. So you might have someone and they'd say, well, where's your branch near us? And we'd say, oh, there isn't one, It's more of a national charity now, I know that, but then it certainly wasn't. And they were just heartbroken and they couldn't get any help and support. And people are desperate, but when they'd go off the phone, they'd say, I feel so much better, thank you. And, people are just at the end of the tether sometimes with things, aren't they?
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. And, people, especially when you've got a volunteer-led service as well, people give the time because they care, they're passionate about it, and it does really make a difference to people.
So before you were talking about, we automatically think of phone lines, don't we? We think you pick the phone up and you speak to somebody, but that's not for everybody. We were saying that we all like face to face. There's a lot of people who don't like face to face, and then there's the people who maybe don't like to speak on the phone, or can't speak on the phone or whatever. And did you say there was a chat or something?
Yeah, so there's helplines provides that they have to move with the times, and it I'll use Childline as an example. So with young people, some would still use the phone and that they would be okay with that, but some didn't like that and they wanted that extra anonymity. So a web chat gives you that because they can't hear your voice. You feel less vulnerable because when someone says you're through to someone you can talk to. What would you like to talk about today? Often you get silence because it's a big thing. It's a really big thing to pick that phone up. So web chat was really popular with a lot of young people. And then there's text service as well. So a young person again may want to text. Now you go into somewhere like Silverline, which is obviously now merged with Age UK, and for the elderly, they tend to want to use the phone. They want that voice at the end of the line because loneliness is really, really high. And so it very much depends on what your preference is, and it can be to do with, does this give me extra anonymity? They're not able to read the tone of your voice, all those sorts of things. So people feel a bit more kind of protected via a screen or web chat. And then you have text service, and some have email service as well. So that's even one step removed. So you can send an email, get it all out, and then you wait for your reply, and then you send another email. So people prefer that as well. So it all does depend on how you wish to engage, and I think that's important for people to have that choice, so Definitely. They don't feel they have to kind of go down a certain avenue.
Yeah, because we've been talking a lot about sort of like the new digital age with AI and everything. People have to be move with the times, and I think a lot of people, because of social media and because of COVID and, lots of other reasons, they are more insular and, they'll text and, stuff. Are there any stats out there or anything about, are digital services much more used or phone, or is it just a mixture of depending how you feel, or how the individual feels?
It's difficult with the stats in the helpline sector because you have to get the information from the helplines themselves. So each helpline will have their own stats, and so what you'll find is there'll be a higher ratio. Depends. So like I said, with Silverline, they have a higher ratio of telephone calls, and then with some young people services, they'll have a higher ratio maybe of the web chat service. But then you might get some that are balanced, and it depends what they offer. But we have a health of the sector kind of paper where we've done a little bit of research, but not much, because the problem is trying to, if you think there's thousands of helplines, and from a research point of view, that's kind of a new area that we've moved into in the past year and a half, but you need the engagement from all the helplines in order to kind of collate that sort of data. So we have got some research around that, and I can certainly send that to you if you want a little. It's only a couple of pages, as I say.
Yeah, I was just curious about how times are moving, isn't it? And are we, because some people still love to talk, don't they? Some people still want to pick the phone. You were saying about loneliness, and I was just curious whether is the digital era sort of moving that way, or somebody might say potentially have a text conversation or or a web chat, and then maybe feel able to then, because they've built a relationship with whoever they're speaking to on they might build that, they may then be able to make that phone call and speak to somebody.
Well, that happens quite a lot sometimes, where people will test a service, so they will maybe send an email or go on a web chat, and then they may then make a call. And so a lot of helplines, the reason why they offer the multi-channel is because they realize that a person can move around it. And they often do, dependent on what the need is. And the other thing I would say as well is, if someone's in crisis, you tend to get them, and they need maybe immediate support, or if someone's feeling suicidal, you will often find they may reach for the phone, because it's more immediate and it's much more direct. Telephone, I think it's here to stay. I don't think it will ever disappear, because although you have the digital and the tech side, whereby certain generations may prefer that kind of interaction, because I know even with my kids, like, they're well into these voice notes now, and and I get bored listening to them. I think, oh, just send me a text or ring me. But so you have these new waves, but what you find is it always comes back, and people want that human connection. They want that human connection. So whether they have a preference and they prefer the chat, I think sometimes it can be a personality thing, decision. I think a lot of people, if they build that trust, you give them that kind of pathway into that, I think they may well then pick up the phone and want that voice at the end of the line as well. So I don't think it's going anywhere, the voice. And I think that's why a lot of helplines do have the multi-channel, because they realise that although you might have AI or you might have web chat and emails there, people essentially will still always want to use the telephone as well.
Well, it's like books, Gemma. You said before you'd prefer a second-hand one, don't you? And you think of the journey. People going, oh no, it's all digital now. No one wants books, but you want to see the queue at the airport to buy a book is unbelievable. Some people do like a Kindle. Some people had it and they've gone back to books, whatever. It's just preference, isn't it? And everything's. We're just lucky we're able to communicate in more ways now, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. When it's urgent, when it's immediate, I just pick up the phone. I can't be doing with anything else.
Yeah. No, it is. Just explain how you were saying before about helplines are really positive things for maybe young people as a career. or an experience, you know, as a volunteer or something like that. Was it in the Thrive that you were speaking to young people?
Yeah, so although we were talking about helplines and demystifying it for them, just towards the end of the talk, just wanted to give them a different insight into, you know, helplines are like other organisations. They are there and potentially career paths for them as well, because, and I can only speak from experience of, if you look at, you know, helplines such as Childline, Mind, Rethink, they will have specialist training programs on, and so they obviously are volunteer led, and they would take on 16-year-olds, 16+-year-olds. So,
Wow.
you know, not many people realise that or know that, and so if you know, kind of go into that, you know, you want to kind of inquire about that, and you go down that path, you know, the sorts of skills that you learn, you're not just learning topic based, you're learning how to engage, empathic, active listening, empathic responses, basically the essential core skills, listening skills that I think everybody would benefit from.
Definitely.
You know, because it's how you engage with people, you know, your tone and how you kind of manage those conversations, and you can actually use it in your personal life as opposed to your professional life as well. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity for young people, I think, if they were to kind of go into that arena, because they'd get all of this training that you probably wouldn't get, you know, in a lot of like maybe other forums, because it's a little bit of everything, and then you're being mentored, you're being coached, you're then taking live calls and chats, and there's nothing better than that, really. You haven't been to uni, you haven't done anything, but you're in this situation where you're able, through your volunteering, to kind of take on these skills. And I'm always a big advocate for not just young people, but anybody who maybe hasn't had those opportunities. And I think, well, if they're there, you know, and it's something you're interested in, it will definitely, you know, develop them.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have on your CV as well, isn't it? You know, to say that you'd
Yeah.
volunteered, and as you were saying, you know, you're not just volunteering somewhere, you're getting top quality training as well, which is helpful for the job, but also then helpful in everyday life.
Yeah, a lot of the volunteers that I've worked with throughout my career, they've gone on to either be a member of staff within the organisation, or they've gone on to do, you know, really, really good things, and you know, it's helped them in terms of giving them those essential skills.
And you get skills when you're younger, you never ever know. And like years later, you think, yeah, I know that because I did that 40 years ago or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Especially when you're young and impressionable in the workplace, they can set you up for life, can't they?
Yeah.
What a thing. And aren't we lucky we've got, like you say, there's one in Peterborough and one in Liverpool. It's unbelievable, isn't it? How many things we have here in the hubs in Liverpool, or it was set up in Liverpool, or it's just fab, isn't it?
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you for sharing all that with us. Don't go anywhere because we've got a few things.
We'll share everything on the page as well.
Yeah, definitely. And if anybody wants to get in touch about how they can support you, if they wanted some training, if you know young people wanted to volunteer or anything, how would they get in touch with, or who would they get in touch with?
So we're a small team. So you've got Liz, who's our comms person. She's probably a good kind of person to lead through. But basically, you know, they can visit the website and have a look on the website, because it is really clear in terms of what we offer on there, and the different things. So they kind of get a feel and see what sort of courses we run, you know, how we kind of, you know, the sorts of organisations and helplines we work with. But more than anything, I think the Find a Helpline is the key thing for us, because obviously that's universal to everybody, and that's about, if people need support, it's that Find a Helpline kind of, you know, Paul is the key for them. If they require training as an organisation, then obviously that's there for them. For them as well.
We'll definitely share all of the links and things, because I just think it's a dead cool thing to have, and you know, something that I didn't know anything about. And although, you know, there's lots of helplines, you think, oh yeah, you know, did all this stuff. So Paula says, well done, Gemma, the right person for this podcast. Great job. She is. She's amazing. She's good. She's good. So red face this moment this week. Something slightly embarrassing happened. You can laugh along with. Do you want to go first, Sam? Do you want me to go first?
Go first. Go on.
So we've got a really good friend, Diane Cannon, who's been on the show. She did the single on sabbatical. She went and travelled all around the world on her own.
Yeah.
Does a lot with skin cancer and stuff, you know.
Melanie.
Went to Aintree on Friday to meet my mum for a coffee because she has free Marks's vouchers for the coffee.
Why haven't I heard this one? Go on.
So as I'm walking into Marks's, there's Di walking into Next. So I shouted, Di, like that, right? Waving. Anyway, this woman blanks me. So rings Di to say, I said, mate, I said, I'm ringing, I'm talking to you in Next. I said, and you're ignoring me. I said, I'm shouting you. She said, I'm at home.
Yeah, I knew it. Do you know how often you jump on random?
This woman was the absolute double. I said, oh my God. I said, she's got black leggings on. She's got a bright pink jumper on, just like yours. She went, guess what I'm wearing now? And she had black leggings and a bright pink hoodie on. Exactly the same. Anyway, it wasn't Di. I was just shouting and screaming at some stranger, which is obviously why she ignored me. So apologies to the woman I was shouting and screaming at. But how mad is that she was wearing the same thing? So yeah, so that was my red face this week. What about you, San?
Well, I haven't had one this week, but I will have one in the morning because I realised I bought some chicken and prawns of all items yesterday and I'd left them in the car overnight in the bag. Me being me, I thought they'll be fine. I'll stick them in the freezer and work. So did that, got them out to bring home and realised I've left them there in the hall. So I'm going to have to get them first thing, bin them. And I thought of all the in work. And as we know, the heating comes on automatically and it's very warm at the minute. But I thought, oh, for God's sake. I know, yeah, but that's that. I got home and I thought, where are my prawns and chicken? Oh, gone. So I may well have
the freezer. Good remembrance skills for that.
Yeah, I know, but that's all I could remember. So there we go. Not too bad this week. Normally they're just beyond belief, aren't they?
Yeah.
But there we go. We'll probably have.
You got one, Gemma?
Not from this week, but I'll give you one from the past, which I think I had my eyebrows done. So this is not a Helplines Partnership, previous team, and I'd had my eyebrows done. Yeah, looking good, whatever. But they're always a bit dark when you first get them done, and after a few days, they settle into what they should be. So I walks into the team meeting, and everyone's sat there with these cut out paper eyebrows. As I'm just about to share the meeting, it was funny. I did.
That's boss. That's when you know you're in a good team.
A bit much that, like.
That's when you know you're in Liverpool, is what I think. Anywhere else, you wouldn't get away with it.
What's that?
That's boss. I love that.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. Shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've done fabulous things this week.
You go first, Hal.
Okay, I want to give a quick shout out to me dad. So I'm in uni this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but Poppy still goes to school because the kids need to see her in school. So I dropped her off this morning, and because Phil's working away, my dad went and picked her up today, and then he took her for an hour walk. So when I got to my mum, she was on the couch, zonked, snoring, didn't hear me come in because she's deaf now. And he's going to do it all again tomorrow. So, big shout out to my dad. And I want to give a shout out to all my uni mates, my classmates, because this is our first meet up since before Christmas. And everybody's really busy in their jobs, but it's just a good little vibe. We've got a gorgeous little group. And we had 2 days of finance. So I quite like numbers and financy things. Some of them in the room hated it and just, couldn't get their heads around it and everything. But just a big shout out to them. It's just a good, we've got tomorrow, but it was a good 2 days. So I'm giving all them a big shout out. What about you, Sam?
Well, I don't know if I gave him a shout out last week or not, and I feel awful if I did. But my brother in Scotland has set up this mad campaign, and they're buying the land. No, I didn't, obviously. So he
Yeah.
has an allotment, right, since
Yeah.
he retired. He's just so busy. I likes to keep busy like me. And he's got this allotment, and it's amazing. And he's brought veg down for me previously. It's just superb what he grows there. Anyway, in Dundee, this plot that the land's on, it doesn't sound bad to us. For the meterage, it's amazing, but they need 100 grand to buy it and keep it in the community. But it's like a life support for some of these people.
Community, yeah.
Retired, they've got nothing to do, and there's all different walks of life. Have got allotments and stuff, and there's a lot of flats around there, so people haven't got gardens and they can grow their own veg, etc., which I'm dead passionate about. And so he's set up this, and they're trying to raise stuff, and they've got a solicitor who's going to do the work pro bono for free. Isn't that amazing? In the paper, and he's not one for stuff like that at all. All rallied around. I'm dead proud of him. So he's got a GoFundMe page. They've got to raise 100 grand, but I think they're up to 600 odd. Or he only launched. No, like he's got a long way to go. But I said, once you get your first 1,000, it's easy. I haven't done a lot of fundraising. But so I'm just hoping, I'm just hoping they get a bit of.
You need to share all that, because there'll be some people who'll support it, because it's just a cool thing.
We'll be sharing, obviously, Gemma's all information today, the helpline awareness information and stuff like that from the Helplines Partnership and the Finder Helpline, etc. But then I thought if we could share it in a few days, I'd really like to support them.
Yeah, of course, that's cool. Yeah, Gemma, who are you shouting out to? Which grown-ups?
Oh, it's got to be the guys at base camp, Aaron, George, me auntie and Rachel, because without them we couldn't have done the video, and they gave the time for free, and they took time off their own kind of work as well. So it's got to go to them.
Brilliant. And Gemma, when people come on this show,
oh yes, the Rockets, you'll be on.
So for you mentioning them, they're all going to get contracts and win Oscars now.
We can't put everyone on here.
George is banking on it. George is still checking his DMs, saying I haven't had any offers yet. I went, don't worry, I'll get you there.
He will definitely. So if anyone's out there who's looking for casting, get on, have a look at the video and give George a call.
And Gemma, you spoke about your video and everything, but how effective was it? Because it definitely got the message out, didn't it? Because Helen said to me, and I said, well, what's that? Who is? And it was only off the back of that video, really, that we found out about you. So you were bang on there.
Yeah.
So Carl's still with us, and he says you're doing a great job. And then Paula said she loves it. And thank you to Carl and Gemma for joining. Carl and Paula for joining us and commenting. It's lovely when we have people commenting. Cool. So a massive thank you to Gemma. Massive thank you to Sandra. We're going to share everything of Gemma's and Helplines awareness and Helplines Partnership, and everyone, just share their pages. Just, you might not need it this time, but somebody else might. So the more we share it, the more, you raise the profile and people just know more about the cool stuff that Helplines do. Gemma, do you have a mantra, or the Helplines Partnership have a mantra that they live by?
I have a mantra. I live by my values. So values is how to live your life. I do everything through values, and if I don't, it doesn't sit right with me. So that's my advice. Just stick to your values, no matter what you do.
Brilliant. I love that. Well, thank you very much, and we will see everybody next week. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks very much.